Hi, I'm Dean Paarman from Balance Catamarans. We're here at Bort in Düsseldorf, Germany, and I'm accompanied by President Phil Berman of Balance Catamarans and Patrick Roscoe, the Vice President of Customer Experience. Now, at Balance Catamarans, there is a subject that is very important to us, and we talk about it a lot, especially at a show like this, and that is quality. And today I'd like to invite you to come into a discussion that we're going to have about quality, specifically about quality control and what those processes are and what do we do as a company and what do we do in our build. And to kick that off, I'm going to basically go straight over to Phil. Phil, can you enter us into the conversation about what it is that quality control is for Balance?
Well, it's a good question to start with quality control because in the end, in our business, it's difficult to build a perfect boat. So what we try and do at Balance is cut out as many imperfections in the build process so that we don't see repeatable issues. But when you really think about quality as a whole, a lot of our boat are what we call OEM components. So step one is to choose components that are of good quality, because in the end, much of the supplies that come in for our boats, as any boat, are OEM providers: masts, sails, winches, refrigerators, water makers, these sorts of things. The warranties for those products are managed, of course, by the provider of that equipment. We're there to support the customer in the process if they have a problem. For us, quality control is two things there on the OEM side: choosing the best equipment and providers, and also if we find that a piece of equipment lets us down repeatedly, to stop using that equipment, or if that supplier doesn't provide good service and support, to move to another one. But I stress that, if our quality was perfect, we wouldn't need a quality control process. And I think that all builders here at this boat show, we all are working hard to build quality products, because when we do that, it creates happier customers and it cuts down on our warranty costs and our costs in general. But we're here in Germany, and I have a BMW 4 Series car, which is a new car. I've had it for a year and a half. Since I've had that car, I've had 3 quality control recalls, and I consider BMW a very quality product. The difference with the BMW is that there's a dealer about 4 miles from my house. I can call them up, take it in the morning, leave it. They'll take care of the little quality control and I'm back. The challenge in our business is we have these moving targets that are blasting all over the world. Some of them are in the Cook Islands or the Tuamotus and what have you. Building up that side of our warranty, service, and support is a big part of what we're doing, and a big part of what Patrick's doing and working with our factories. Most concerned about in the quality control process is that we don't have repetitive issues. And so anytime we have an issue, it gets translated down to the floor of the yard or to the person that installs that product.
First and foremost, the skilled labor that we use and all the men and women who build our catamarans, in addition to the QC process that follows through every stage of production. It's really important that we have key people in place that know the product, that know how it's built at every stage of production. So let's use Cape Town, our Cape Town facility as an example. Each boat moves through our production facility every 12 days. Each team focuses on different aspects of that build, and each team has a leader that focuses on QC to make sure that each step of that construction process is done properly. There's no errors, there's no fitting with the equipment, there's no issues in the build quality or the construction of the hulls or the coach roof, whatever it may be. It's really important that each team owns their stage of production. In addition to that, we have a QC team that monitors the floor, the whole production floor. That QC team consists of a QC lead, QC manager, that oversees a few QC team members. Okay, those team members are constantly floating, checking in with each stage of production, each team, to ensure that everything's going to plan and there's no major issues. That QC team rolls up to our production manager at Cape Town, for example. So our production manager is responsible for the start of the build all the way to the splash. That production manager then works through any of those QC issues that come up to make sure they're not repeated in any future builds and are corrected on any other builds that are currently in the production line. So it's a very extensive process, and it's being done daily. Once the boat is finished and moves out into the yard, then we go through more of the cosmetic QC side. So we have a team member that works for Balance, not on the production floor, not in production, that comes through and spends 7 days on the boat in the yard outside of the factory and does a punch list of all the little QC cosmetic items that need to be addressed before that boat makes its way down to the yacht club and gets put in the water. From there, we do it over again. We bring the boat to the V&A waterfront, to our docks. We do another cosmetic punch list after those items were addressed in the yard, and we do all of those have to be completed before final commissioning begins down in the water.
And,
it's a lot.
You know, when you say cosmetic, so, you know, our boats are painted, flooring is custom, the cabinetry is custom,
Fabrics,
millwork, paint. A Balance is really a bespoke custom. It's not a cookie cutter, you know, it's a handmade product. So the cosmetic side of it can only really get done when it kind of gets off the factory floor, the kind of final cosmetic stuff.
And the thing is, it's not just about looking, it's about feeling, right? You can see that whenever we do videos about quality, you always see guys running their hands along things, and that's exactly what it is, right? It's feeling every part of the boat, because it's got to look good, but it's also going to feel
That's
good.
true. And you know, when Patrick was talking about the QC process, so at any company that's in manufacturing, that QC process is constantly being worked on and it drafted actually into kind of a manual for every, you know, single thing. And why that's important is that in any factory, you're going to have some turnover. So you'll have a team, and that team will be specifically tasked with building dagger boards, for example. And here's a great example. About, it was 2.5 years ago, I guess, 3 years ago, during COVID, we had some people go out with COVID. So the guy was the head of the dagger board team. New person came in, made a very slight change to the way he was doing the dagger board. And then we had 4 or 5 dagger boards fail because they weren't done properly. Well, that leads to big costs for the builder. Then we have to build the new boards. We have to ship them to the people. So those are the kind of things that we want to get rid of, but also it really inconveniences the customer. So that QC process just gets better and better and better, but it has to be written down. And when somebody replaces somebody, they need to be taken through that QC process to make sure there's not a repetitive error.
I mean, the evolution of having checks and balances now in the factory is really improving that QC process. I think before there was fewer folks focusing on this, but now it's been a big change in the factory over the past 12 to 24 months on really dedicating time to ensure that there's no quality issues that are leaving the yard. And if they do, they're corrected before the owner
Yeah,
leaves
the
South
idea
Africa.
is that through the boat going through 3 QC processes before it actually leaves Cape Town will really cut down, you know, on any kind of thing. But look, invariably, you know, it's a boat, and it's floating around in the most corrosive environment on Earth, and our sea trial is one of the longest in the world. And typically at any given time, we're following 2 or 3 boats that are coming up the Atlantic, following them. And, you know, thankfully, so far, everybody's made it just fine, but occasionally there's a little this or that, and we call them or deal with them or, you know, help them out. And
But that's an excellent point to speak to, because now with our service and warranty center in Grenada, we have that ability now to continue resolving QC issues by our production team that is located now in Grenada to solve any of those issues that occurred after their passage when they've got to Grenada. So we have a few stops now to make sure everything is addressed.
So is that feedback loop back to the factory?
When we started Balance in 2013, and we grew pretty incrementally, 2 boats a year, 3 boats a year, 4 boats a year, right? We've moved from being what you might call a small boutique company to a mid-sized company. We're building 25 to 27 catamarans a year. And it's a size we're kind of settled in at right now because we're large enough to really build out all the service and support that we feel we need and the processes, but we're still small enough that we can remain relatively in close touch with our customers and respond quickly. I mean, Patrick always says to me, he came from a larger company that was dealing with thousands of customers in the quality and service side. And he sometimes jokes with me, he says, Phil, what's so cool about this company is that we only really have to typically make happy 50 people a year, right? If there's 25 boats, he said, if we can't make 50 people a year happy, there's something wrong with us. Yeah. And of course, we can't keep everybody happy because that's the nature of business, but you try really, really hard. And generally speaking, I think for our industry and our standard, we do a very good job.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said when I opened up that quality is just, it's something that we spend a lot of time talking about because we're proud of that as a product, right? And it's whenever somebody doesn't know Balance yet, it's like, that's the thing. You've got to come feel it. You've got to come see it. And yeah.
Well, my brother had, he was a fine woodworker, designer, cabinet maker in San Francisco. And above his desk, he had a sign that said quality is free. And what he meant by that is if we do this quality right, then we're going to cut down on our expenses and it pays for itself. But again, I mean, here in this Dusseldorf boat show, we're looking across, I'm in this sailing center where I'm looking right now at monster amounts of boats, right? And every single one of these boats, like our boats, I'm looking at a boat across from us, did you know, it has Harkin winches. It has Goyo hatches. It has a Sparcraft mast. It has, much of this equipment we're all purchasing. So on that side of the fence, it's about purchasing quality equipment from quality providers and making sure that they support us. I'll give you an example of one thing right now, we're working with Integral. We're working with Integral. We worked with Integral to innovate on the first Integral high output alternators. And they've been this partner with us in innovation and service. And it's what gave us the confidence to be the first to be working on this e-drive with them. They'll go to South Africa, they'll work with us, we'll test the products. We're sort of guinea pigging, I guess, in a way. Innovation requires that. But to know that the partner that you're working with is really standing behind the product, that's just like super important to us.
Yeah, it's not even standing behind the product, it's how they interact with our customers. They're offering our customers the same level of service that we want to offer our owners.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference with Integral.
Patrick, you touched on something earlier about Grenada, which it leads us into another topic which closely relates to quality control, which is warranty. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to set up a whole new conversation just around that in the next video.
And take a deeper dive.
Into warranty. So with that, if you have any questions or anything else you want to know about quality control, then leave it in the comments and we'll be sure to get answers to you about that. And for now, let's put up a link and get you to the next video to talk a bit more about warranty.
And
stay in balance.
Stay in balance.
Stay in balance.